Hello guys, this tutorial video is for Adobe Animate CC Lesson 4, Animating Symbols. So for this lesson, first we need to open Adobe Animate CC and then go to File, Open, and then locate into Lesson Files to find the Lesson 4 folder, and we need to go to 04 Start and choose 04 Start.flash and click Open. Now you can make it smaller to say the whole image of this lesson file, and then we need to save it as a new document and rename it as 04 working copy, and then click Save. For this lesson, the first is going to animate position. We need to lock all the existing layers so you don't accidentally modify them, and then create a new layer above the footer layer and rename it as City. So first we need to lock all the other layers. Like these two layers are all in the cars folder, so when I click the button to the cars, you can see all the layers are locked at the same time, like this, and also the actors layer. And lock the footer layer and the ground layer. And then I click Create New. Now I got a new layer and name it as City. And click Return. Drag the bitmap image called citybg.jpg from the bitmaps folder in the library panel to the stage. We go to Library panel and find citybg.jpg and drag it onto the screen, like this. In the Properties Inspector, set the value of x to 0. So the value should be 0 and y should be 90. And then right-click or control-click on the cityscape image and choose Create Motion Tween. Right-click and click Create Motion Tween. So you can see a dialog box appears, warning you that your selected object is not a symbol. Motion tweens require symbols. Animate asks if you want to convert this selection to a symbol, so it can proceed with the motion tween. So we click OK. And then move the red playhead to the end of the tween span at frame 190. So it should be here. And then select the instance of the cityscape on the stage. And while holding down the Shift key, move the instance up to the stage. Like this. For more precision, we need to select the value of y to 0. Set it to 0. A small black diamond appears in frame 190, like this. This indicates a keyframe at the end of the tween. Animate smoothly interpolates the changing position from frame 1 to frame 190 and represents that motion with a motion path. We can drag the red playhead back and forth at the top of the timeline to see the smooth motion, as you can see like this. Okay, our next step is to use the controller to preview the animation. Click any of the playback buttons on the controller below the timeline to go to the first frame. Like this one is go to the first frame and this one is go to the last frame, or step back or step forward, and this is play and pause. Also, we can choose the loop option, which is this one. Click loop option, you will see this gray area, and you can drag the beginning or drag the end point. And then if I click play, you can say it will only play this part, which is the loop part. Our next step is changing the pacing and timing. So we need to move your mouse cursor close to the end of the tween span in the city layer. So first we need to remove this by clicking it again. We'll go to the end of the frame. You will find your cursor changes to a double-headed arrow, like this, a double-headed arrow, indicating that you can lengthen or shorten the tween span. Click and drag the end of the tween span back toward frame 60. I'll drag it back to frame 60. Okay. Like this. Reducing the time it takes the city space to move. And then move your mouse cursor close to the beginning of the tween span. Also, when the double arrow selection sign appears, we need to drag to 10 frame. So your motion tween begins at an earlier time, so it now plays only from frame 10 to frame 60. The next step is adding frames. Move your mouse cursor to close to the end of the tween span. Hold down the Shift key and click and drag the end of the tween span forward the frame 190. And then release your mouse. So you can see the last keyframe in the motion tween remains still at frame 60 like this. It's still here, but animate as frames to frame 190. The next step is moving keyframes. First, we need to click the keyframe at frame 60, like this. So if you click once, then you can see all the span is selected. You need to first press Option for Mac or Alt for Windows to select the single frame, like this. Okay, it should be Command. Yes, for Mac, you should first click. You should press Command and at the same time to click the single frame. For Windows, you should click Control and at the same time to click the single frame. And you can see a tiny box appears next to your mouse cursor, indicating that you can move the keyframe. Click and drag the keyframe to frame 40. Okay, I'll drag it to frame 40, like this. The last keyframe in the motion tween moves to frame 40, so the motion of the city space proceeds quicker. The next step is animating transparency. Move the red playhead to the first keyframe of the motion tween, which is frame 10. It's here. And then select the cityscape instance on this stage. In the Properties Inspector, we go to Properties Inspector, choose Alpha option for color effect. So for the color effect, we need to choose Alpha and set the value to 0. The city space instance on the stage becomes totally transparent. Move the red playhead to the last keyframe of the motion tween, which is frame 40. And then select the cityscape instance on the stage. Also, we need to go to Properties Inspector and the Color Effect, and then set the alpha value to 100%. The cityscape instance on the stage becomes totally opaque. And then we can preview the effect by choosing Control, Play. So we go to Control, Play. Now we need to first set it to the beginning, and then Control, Play. So you can say the image of the cityscape is changed from the transparent to opaque. The next step is animating filters. Make the actors layer folder on the timeline visible. So actors, they are visible, but we need to unlock them. Lock all the layers on the timeline except the women layer. So we need to lock man layer and also the city layer, only leave woman layer as unlocked. Move the red playhead to the beginning keyframe of the motion tween in the women layer at frame 23. So we need to find, so this is the beginning, 23, yes. Select the instance of the women on the stage, this one. You won't be able to see her because she has an alpha value of 0%, totally transparent. Click on the upper right side of the stage to select the transparent instance. In the Properties Inspector, expand the Filter section, and click the plus button to choose Blur. And then specify the blur X value and Y value to 20 pixels. Move the red playhead across the entire timeline to preview the animation. Okay, let's preview it. So now you can say the women is blurred. Okay, then we need to right click or control click on the women layer at frame 140. So we go to 141 and right click and then choose insert keyframe, choose filter. And you can say Animate establishes a keyframe for filters at frame 140. Move the red playhead to frame 160. So here is 160. Right click to choose Insert Keyframe. Also choose Filter. And then we go select the instance of the women on the stage at frame 150, and in the Properties Inspector, change the value of the blur filter, change here to 0, and press Return. The blur filter changes from the keyframe at frame 140. Let's preview. Okay, like this is 140, and you can say the image is still blurred, but from frame 140 like this, and you can say it's becoming clear till frame 160 like this. Our next step is animating transformations. We need to lock all the layers on the timeline. So we lock all of them, and then add a new layer inside the cars folder and rename it as left car. So we go to middle car, click new, double click, and rename it as left car. And then select frame 75 and insert a new keyframe. So we need to go to 75, right click, insert keyframe. And then drag the movie clip symbol called car left from the library panel. In the library panel, car left, so this one, car left, and drag it onto the stage. And then select the free transform tool. So now I cannot say, oh, it's here. So we need to select transform tool, and you can say the control buttons, the control handles. While holding down the shift key, click and drag a corner handle inward to make the car smaller. So we need to press shift and drag it, make it smaller. In the Properties Inspector, we go to Properties Inspector. Make sure that the width of the car is about 400 pixels. So we can click the link, click it, and then make the width 400. like this. And then move the card to its starting position at about X. So we can either drag this or specify the number here, like X should be about 710, and also Y is about 488. In the Properties Inspector, select Alpha for the color effect, go to Alpha, and then set the value to 0. We need to right-click and then choose Create Motion Tween. So now you can see the current layer becomes a tween layer. It becomes blue. Move the red playhead on the timeline to frame 110. So we go to 100. Oh, it should be 100. Select the transparent instance of the card on the stage, which is this one. And in the Properties Inspector, change the alpha value to 100. A new keyframe, like this, is automatically inserted at frame 100 to indicate the change in transparency. Select the Frame Transform tool, the Free Transform tool. While holding down the Shift key, click and drag a corner handle outward to make the card larger. I'll drag it to make it larger, and to make it more precise, we need to specify the width as 1380, like this, and then position the card at X value of 607 and Y as 545. Move the left card layer in between the middle card and the right card layer, so I move it in between, so that the card in the center overlaps the card on the side. And you can preview by dragging to see the effect of this. Okay, the next step is changing the path of the motion. First is moving the path of the motion. So first, we need to open a new document by go to File, Open, and then we need to choose 04 motion path.flash. Okay. First, we need to choose the Selection tool. Click on the path of the motion to select it. The path of the motion becomes highlighted. Click and drag the motion path to move it to a different place on the stage. I'll just move it like this. The relative motion and the timing of the animation remain the same, but the starting and ending point are relocated. Then we need to change the scale or the rotation of the path. Select the path of the motion, choose the Free Transform tool. Transformation handles appear around the path of the motion. Scale or rotate the path of the motion as desired. You can make the path like this to rotate it, or just drag it to make it smaller. The next one is editing the path of the motion. So we need to choose the Convert Anchor Point tool. So we need to this one. If you cannot see this tool, there is behind the pen tool like this. So this is Convert Anchor Point tool. And then click the starting point of the or the ending point of the motion path on the stage. Like this is the starting point, I'll click it. And drag to make it different, like this. Or I can click the ending point, also drag it like this. And then choose the sub-selection tool, which is the wide, and drag them to make it a different path, like this. The next step is orienting objects to the path. Select the motion tween on the timeline. So this is the motion tween. In the Properties Inspector, under Rotation, select Orient to Path option. So under Rotation, this is Rotation and Direction. Now, we need to check this, Orient to Path. And you can say, Animate inserts keyframes for rotation along the motion between the orient, the nose of the rocket shape. Like this, we have different. You can say all of the frames are become keyframes. The next step is swapping tween targets. Drag the move clip symbol of the alien from the library panel onto the rocket ship. We go to library and this is the alien. We need to drag it onto the plane. And you will say, it's asking you, do you wish to replace the existing twin? So we click OK. And we can drag it. No, it's not. It should be not like this. So we need to, from here, click it and then drag it. Drag it onto the stage. We need to create nested animations. Creating animations inside movie clip symbols. In the library panel, double-click the alien movie clip symbol icon. Double-click this one. You are now in symbol editing mode for the alien movie clip symbol. The alien appears in the middle of the stage. In the timeline, the parts of the alien are separated in layers, like you have the feet, head, body, arm 1, and arm 2. We need to choose the selection tool. Right-click the alien's left arm and choose Create Motion Tween. So this is click right and Create Motion Tween. Animate converts the current layer to a tween layer and inserts 1 second's worth of frames, so you can begin to animate the instance. Choose the Free Transform tool. Drag the corner rotation control point near the hand to rotate the arm upward to the alien's shoulder height. Okay, like this. Move the red playhead back to frame 1. Now create a motion tween for the alien's other arm. So I'll right-click his other arm and right-click to create motion tween. Also drag it upward like this. And then I drag it back, and you can say the arms have the animation now. And then we need to select the last frame in all the other layers. Also, we select all the other layers. And then right-click. To insert frame. Okay, so I'll click Shift, press the Shift, and then drag them. Click this 3 once and right-click, insert frame. Now you can see the animation now. Okay, and then we click the Scene 1 button in the Edit bar at the top of the stage to exit symbol editing mode. So click Scene 1. Preview the animation by choosing Control Test. So I'll drag it back and Control Play. So right now, we tested by going to Control Play, and you cannot see the nested animation. You cannot see the arms of this alien move up and down. That's because animations inside of movie clip symbols won't play on the main timeline. So if you want to see the effect, we need to go to Control, Test. And then you can say this is the final effect. The arms are in animation. Okay, the next step is splitting a motion tween. In the left card layer, so we need to go to scene 1. No, we need to go back to 04 working copy dot flash document. In the left card layer, this is left card, select frame 101. Left card, we need to select 101. If you cannot select, press Command and select it. Right click and choose split motion. You can say animate cuts the motion tween into two separate, like this, into two separate tween spans. The end of the first tween is identical to the beginning of the second tween. In the middle card layer, this is middle card, we go to middle card and select frame 94. So this is 94. Press Command and click it. And choose split motion. Also, in the right card layer, we need to go to frame 107. Press Command and choose it. Also, split motion. The next step is setting eases of a motion tween. In the middle card layer, select any frame between the first and the second keyframes of the first motion. This is the first one, like this. And then in the Properties Inspector, we go to Properties Inspector, enter 100 for the ease value. So this is ease like 100 and press return. Also, in the left card layer, we do the same thing. It should be between the first and the second one. Choose any one of them and change it to 100. Also in the third one, choose any one of them and ease to 100. Okay, the next is inserting a new keyframe. In the library panel, so we go to library panel, double-click the car right movie clip symbol to examine its completed frame-by-frame animation. So we go to car right movie clip. So car right movie clip, like this. And then we can drag. We can use the loop. Okay. Now you can see the animation of this single symbol. Then in the library panel, double-click the car left. So this is car left. Double-click the button. Select frame tool in both the lights layer. So this is, we need to select. Press Shift to select them. Right-click and choose Insert Keyframe. Keyframe. Animate inserts a keyframe in frame 2 of the lights layer and the small rumble layer. The contents of the previous keyframes are copied into the new keyframes. In frame tool, select all 3 graphics on stage. It's 3-1. We can press Ctrl plus A. It's all being selected. And move them down the stage. Move them down a little bit, like this. Next, repeat the process of inserting keyframes and changing the graphics. Okay, insert it and keyframe. Drag it to another place. Also can repeat it. Drag it then to another place. And then you can test by changing the loop. Now you create your own animation. The next step is animating 3D motion. Click on scene 1 to get back. Move it in the middle. And then insert a new layer at the top of the layer stack and rename it as title. So I'll create a new layer and name it as title. Lock all the other layers. I will lock these layers. And then insert a new keyframe at frame 120. So this is 120. Right-click, insert keyframe. Drag the movie clip symbol, cut the movie title from the library. So this is movie title, and drag it onto the stage. And then position the title by going to properties, position as 180 and Y as 90. Okay. Right-click on the movie title and choose Create Motion. Create Motion Tween. We can click Other and then go back to click it. Create Motion Tween. And then move the red playhead to frame 140. So we go to 140. Select the 3D rotation tool, which is this one, 3D rotation tool. Deselect the global transform option at the bottom, which is this one. We need to deselect it. Click and drag the title to rotate it around the y-axis so that its angle is about, so we just drag it to make some effects. Okay, like this. Yes. And then move the red playhead to the first keyframe at frame 120. So we go to 120. Okay. Click and drag the title to rotate it around the y-axis in the opposite direction so that the instance looks like just a sliver. So this is y. No. I should drag this. Okay, like this. And then I can preview, like it will move like this. Now at this place. Okay, let me check. At this place, it should be, okay, I'll go to, yes. It should be like this. Yes. Testing your movie, we can go to Control, to Test. So you can say this is the final effect of your movie. And then you can save it. Or you can choose File to export. Export it as WF document. Like I'll name it as 04 test and click Save.